So what I'm thinking about Blombo Dombo, and if I ever say something like Blombo Gombo or Flombo Mombo, it's all in there. It's all, you know what I'm talking about. So for Sakrat, we had da-dun, da-dun, da-da. For Blombo Dombo, dun, da-dun, da-dun, dun. Blombo Dombo Bombo. YouTube, welcome back. We are going to be innovating a new language today. You ever have a friend who starts a lot of projects but never really finishes them every time it's a new project? Well, I am that friend. And so today we're going to indulge in my character flaws and start a new project without having advanced all of the other ones we have going, because that's what we're here for. So we are going to be working on a Tbæk language. This is a family that we started to sketch out before I was on my break. And now we're back. It is related to the Biirai languages. And we are all that friend. All right. So I'm in good company then. You know, we all understand each other very well. All right, so intro spiel done, I think. It's related to the Biirai languages. It's a Tbæk language. But the deal with this Blombo Dombo language, which is the code name, is that it's going to be round and cute. And I don't know. I think that's enough. That's enough intro. Let's get started. So up here I have a few of our notes from last time. The Proto-Tbæk phonological system. And we have some Proto-Tbæk words. We know so far of Bitaki, Taghi, Sitima, and Atatu. And these give us, so this is Proto-Biirai-Tbæk. And we have some sound changes going to Biirai. So I think what we need to do is, I'm just trying to put myself back into the mindset of how we did this before. We have Proto-Tbæk's phonology here. And I think what we need to do is start to come up with, we need to come up with a few words in, I'm wondering something. And I should have probably reviewed the old episode. So we have Proto-Tbæk's phonology here. And then we have these Proto-Biirai-Tbæk words here. But we don't have anything set about how Proto-Biirai-Tbæk turns into Tbæk. So I think we need to work on that a little bit first. So let's go into Lexurgy. Let's actually do some Lexurgy on stream for once. I mean, I'm flirting with disaster here because this is, I guess, technical, right? But nevertheless, we'll give it a try. And we'll just do some sort of basic rules. So what did we need to get to? I think I might need to make this a bigger screen so that we can get everything on. The CSS on Lexurgy is a bit annoying. It gets rid of the output if you make it too smaller. Well, it doesn't get rid of it, but it puts it down here and it's kind of inconvenient. Anyway, so we have a few words. We can apply. Nothing happens because we have no sound changes. So we're going to make a few sound changes for to go from Proto-Biirai to Proto-Biirai-Tbæk to Proto-Tbæk, and then we'll work on Blombo Dombo. Yeah. Okay. So we did make some decisions about this. Elijah and Quayne, I believe, I have a little note crediting them. So let the note do what my memory cannot. And I believe it was sort of a collaborative process of coming up with this reconstruction. So we want Bitaki to go to Tbæk. So that's our task. We are going to open up our, just put that here so that we can keep it in mind. And then we have to open up the Lexurgy rules because we're going to want to refer to this kind of stuff. How to do things. I haven't done any Lexurgy in a while, so I will have forgotten a lot. Right. Okay. So we have a lot to do. And I'm not going to make these rules as elegant as they will eventually be, because we'd have to do quite a lot of work establishing natural classes and things like that. So I'm going to hack them a little bit, but at least they'll be descriptively adequate, and then we can generalize them from there. So getting bitaki or bitaki to Tbæk. We need to, it's catching up in the chat here. There's a war going on in the chat. We need an owl chicken mutating thing. We totally do. We totally do. So what I'm thinking about Blombo Dombo, and if I ever say something like Blombo Gombo or Flombo Bombo, it's all in there. It's all, you know what I'm talking about. Is that I want it to be, so for Sakrat we had a sesquisyllabic language, if you'll recall, where we have these iams, these Sakrat, Manis, Ranis, Sakam, Tarun, right? We have all these iams, and the language has that very da-dun, da-dun, da-da, da-dun, da-da, da-da feel. For Blombo Dombo, I want it to be trochaic. So that's the opposite. Instead of going weak strong, we go strong weak. So dun 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 dun. Blombo dombo bombo. That kind of thing. So I want the overall morpheme shape to be like, CVC, CV, something like that. With an L or an R in here. But I'd like this weak syllable to be present in most words. Yeah. All right. So we need to get to Proto-Tbæk from Biirai-Tbæk. An example of a language family that at some stages at least has this kind of structure would be Germanic. So even though Germanic isn't blombo dombo, it is, we have, take English for example, we have a lot of words like hammer and winter, hunger. It's the same. It's this strong, weak pattern. Heaven. And much like in the sesquisyllabic, the iambic style sesquisyllabic languages, there's some ambiguity as to whether that weak syllable is a full syllable or not. So in a lot of English meter, you can scan heaven as being one syllable. Heaven. It's often notated with an apostrophe instead of the E, the second E in heaven. And there are also things like the English comparative form. So there are some, the English comparative form of adjectives takes ER if it's monosyllabic, or the analytic form more X if it's polysyllabic. So good example, redder, but more crimson. And when you get these forms that have this weak syllable in the second spot, you still get the form. So it's kind of acting a little bit like a monosyllable. So an example would be happier. So this is patterning with the monosyllables. So there's this ambiguity in these structures as to whether they're one or two syllable. Right. Sutton, I have not seen the Ta languages phonotactics. Ninix, P should disappear and B should be the only label to stop. I kind of like that idea. That sounds fun. Oops. All right, so our task to take bitaki, and turn it into Tbæk. So I wonder if we're going to be able to get away with ignoring syllable structure. I don't think we are, in which case I'm going to have to take some rules from another file, and I'm going to have to take some rules from another file so that we can get a good syllable structure together in the and get the stress working. But let's go and look at how we can define syllables so we can at least get it to our syllable structure correctly. There we go. Syllable, syllable, syllable. Where's the syllable structure section of the rules? Ah, yes, syllables. So here we need to sort out what our consonants and vowels are. And this means a lot of work. So I'm going to take this. I've already done all this for the Sakrat languages, so I'm going to just take the rules from there. All right. This is going to be kind of anesthetic. Apologies. As you can see, yikes. But we still have... I'm just going to take all of this because it's useful. And let's put it into our file. Unfortunately, this is not the best width to work with here, but let's make our syllable structure minus syllabic plus syllabic, which means roughly consonant vowel. And let's see if it can syllabify what we have. I don't think it will. I think this breathy voice is going to give us a problem. But let's just see. Oh, I made a syntax error. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Oh, I think this needs to have a space between it. There we go. Okay, so where's our stress? I have to look up. Sorry, you're actually watching me work here. I have to look up in Lexurgy how to make lexical stress happen. All right. We have this diacritic before stress. We have marked the stress feature correctly. I'm not sure why it doesn't appreciate our... Perhaps it has to do with the breathy voiced. So let's just give a breathy feature. We can refine that later. I have to put it... See if I can make this a little bit better. There we go. That's somewhat better. Where do I put this? I put it... I'll just put breathy here. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, it doesn't like this stress. Okay. Well, actually, I don't know if our stress has to be lexical for Proto-Biirai-Tbæk. Let's take it out and see what happens, because it's always penultimate. Good. Okay, so at least it's parsing the syllables correctly. That's something. And then let's see if we can get it to assign stress. And to do stress, I will probably steal from the call rule sheet because I don't like to repeat myself. All right, so back over here, let's find our sound changes document. And the stress rule. Ugh, that's a bit ugly. Let's see. Does the Sakrat stress rule? Can I just flip it? Let's find out. Let's find out. Here we go. All right, so let's assign stress here. This is not going to be the right stress rule. This is going to give us ultimate, final stress. So instead, we need to do this, I believe. So we'll move the syllable over onto the right side to give us penultimate stress. There we go. All right. So, and of course, my visage is blocking the view as usual. Let's get me down here. There we go. So as you can see, we have recreated our syllabification, our strict CV, going minus syllabic optionally, then plus syllabic. And then we have assigned stress. This rule is a bit complicated. I'll walk through it to explain how this works. So in general, Lexurgy works by having a named rule, colon, and then a rule formatted in a very particular way, and it's not very forgiving when you format it incorrectly. You can do a lot of things in these rules. So here I'll show you one. Here we have the stress assignment rule, which has multiple parts. So each part is on one line. So this takes any syllable and makes it go to, this arrow means becomes, plus stress. So we're adding the stress feature to the syllable. And we've defined the stress feature as a syllabic feature up here. Again, the syntax is kind of arcane, but once you've done it once, you can just copy it into all of your other projects. So we've defined the stress feature as a syllabic feature, which means that it will apply to the whole syllable, not to just an individual segment. So good. Then we've defined our syllables, which consist of a minus syllabic followed by a plus syllabic segment. So it basically goes through and parses. This is a minus syllabic segment. It's a consonant. This is a plus syllabic segment. It's a vowel. And we've defined all of our symbols and whether they're syllabic or not up here in this maddening array of cosmic horror. So we go through and we do what we would do manually, just count the CVs and mark the syllable boundaries. So bitaki, tagi, sitime, atatu, right? So we get the little periods marking the syllable boundaries. Great. I think actually my prediction is I will fare better with Lexurgy than with Google Sheets, because this is something I'm much more comfortable with. It's just code. It's so much easier than working with interfaces. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, so each rule, once you make the rule title, you put the colon, then you do a new line, and then you have the rule statements. Each of these statements is interpreted independently. So you have a syllable that becomes plus stress, and then you have this, like this is sort of normal for linguistic rules, for say phonological rules, or for historical phonological rules. You have this slash, which separates the rule from the environment in which the rule applies. Here we are using Lexurgy's symbol for word boundaries. So basically this means this stands in for the thing that changes, and then the things on the left and right are the environment in which the change applies. So this word boundary on the left, word boundary on the right, if we have a syllable with a word boundary on the left and a word boundary on the right, that syllable is standing on its own. It is coextensive with the word. So it is a monosyllabic word. If you have a monosyllabic word, that necessarily takes the stress. This is what this line says. Then we have another line that says, if it's a syllable, it should not take the stress. It should be marked as unstressed. So notice that these two things are mutually exclusive. I'm sorry, these are not mutually exclusive. This is this works in an order of what's called a Paninian order. So this means you say the more specific rule first, and then the next rule is left to sort of catch what is not covered by that first rule. So the final rule in one of these sequences is called an elsewhere rule or an elsewhere case. So basically it's interpreted as otherwise. If this doesn't apply, then otherwise mark it as minus stress. So if it were just these two syllables here, we could interpret this as all monosyllables become stressed. All syllables that are alone in a word become stressed. All other syllables become unstressed. Because that's not really what we want. We still want polysyllabic words to have stress, obviously. So we have this second part to the rule. Then a syllable, and we have to put parentheses around it so that we know what, if you put two rules after this, Lexurgy might get confused. Did you mean then do the first one and then go back to the normal ordering for the second? Or how does it get bracketed? Well, here's how it gets bracketed. We put little parentheses around it. So then a syllable becomes stressed if it is, so here's standing in for the syllable. There should be another syllable to its right and then a word boundary. So this is going to get us penultimate stress. And it's going to overwrite the minus stress of anything that was previously marked as minus stress. Anyway, long story short, we get this. Bitaki, tagi, sitima, atatu. Okay. Yeah, I realized that's a lot on Lexurgy. I know some of you may not have seen it before, so that's why I went through all this good jazz. Okay, so what do we need to do next? We need to I think we need to get rid of, I think we need to do some umlaut, because we have bitaki becoming back. So I think we need umlaut, and then we need to have a plus syllabic. Let's try and make this quite general. To what feature system are we using here? Are we using plus front or just minus back? This is going to be a bit dizzying. I apologize. It's the only way. Yeah, minus back. Okay. And what are you? You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to try and get too fancy. Let's just start out with the easy way. A to a before e. Oops, no, minus syllabic. Oh, there are a lot of feature sets out there. So here we have bitaki. So this is a basic umlaut rule. All right. Pixel. Oh, that's interesting. You don't, you have a different sort of workflow in Lexurgy. I'd be very curious to see how other people use this. Ideally, I would like to formulate this rule in terms of features, but it's so annoying to actually go up and look at what the feature specifications are. I'm just not going to worry about it right now. The point of the second line in the stress requirement rule is to ensure that everything that is not marked stressed is marked unstressed explicitly. All right, so then I think once we've done umlaut, we can do unstressed vowel deletion. So this works like plus syllabic, and I think this is it. Plus syllabic minus stress into nothing, go. Okay, so that worked, but it gives us an error because we now have a different syllable structure that we have to deal with. So let's deal with that. So now we have more than one. We can have complex onsets now. And we can have codas. So let's see. This gives us the ability to complicate the syllable structure. Obviously, this is going to need to be a bit more ironclad, because we have no control over over how many constants are going to stack up this way. I think we may need to introduce some secondary stress as well to do that. But for this data set, this works. Okay. So we have batak, tag, stim, that. Okay. So this is good. Then the only thing we need to do is metathesize T to B, and then we are good. I'm not sure exactly what the rule should be there. Metathesis. What's that going to be? Maybe I think we're using plus labial, or we're just using labial. Okay. Labial, coronal to coronal, labial at the start of a syllable. I think this, so that's at the start of a word. Lexurgy friends, is there a start of a syllable boundary? Okay, dot. Great. That makes a lot of sense. Probably should have known that. It's often in phonological rules a right bracket or a left bracket with a small sigma behind it. That's right. Yeah, I need to do the 1-2 thing. Thank you. Which I always forget how to do because it's a very strange kind of notation. Let's see. Do we have any metathesis? Oh, we definitely have some in Sakrat. So let's look. Metathesis. It was in Proto. Okay, here it is. So you do. I don't know if you can see this. It's very, very small, but I'll show you in Lexurgy. So it's like this. $1, $2, $2, and then just $2, $1. So here we're sort of assigning this label 2 to the coronal and 1 to the labial, and then we're swapping them there. Let's see if this works. Labial is not defined. Did I do something wrong here? Are we using binary features for labial? So this is something, oh, we are. Okay. So this is something that in phonological theory was kind of debated a few decades ago. We have this theory of features, which are, according to sort of traditional generative phonology, supposed to be universal. And they are also supposed to be binary. So, you know, you've seen plus voice, minus voice, this kind of thing. However, there are features that don't seem to actually... Why do we have binary features? Because we want to be able to select the set of voice segments in a rule. So we need to refer to them using this plus voice, which picks out a set of sounds. We also sometimes want to be able to refer to the unvoiced or the voiceless segments. So we use minus voice to refer to that set of sounds. But with certain features, we never seem to want... So this is basically like taking a set and then taking the set's complement, if you want to think about it in mathematical terms. There are some features where we never seem to want to take the complement. So this would be things like the major place features, like labial. It's very rare to need to refer to non-labial sounds in a phonological rule. And if your theory allows you to refer to things that are never really needed, the theory is kind of too strong in a way, and you want to limit it. So by removing the possibility of saying minus labial, you get a better fit to the data in a sense. Of course, you have to augment your theory then to say that some features are binary and some features are not. They are privative is the term usually used, but you could think unary. Yeah, okay. So that's a little phonological theory stuff. Kind of fun. But that's why I'm confused here, because usually I use the privative ones for these, but in Lexurgy, I think not. Okay, so there we have Bitaki going to Tbæk. We did it. We did it. Minus labial to remove your lips with a knife. Well, hopefully not. I'm gonna just put a cut in here so I can go refill my water. Stretch and hydrate, people. Let's go back to the full screen. We have now successfully derived Tbæk from Proto-Biirai-Tbæk. So that's a success. We learned a little bit about Lexurgy. We learned a little bit about binary and privative features, and I think that's a good place. So we will see you back here next time, YouTube. Until then, I don't know. Just enjoy your life, really. That's all I have to say.